is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Black Hawk. We are Southwest.
The first series of this homestand saw your Rangers break through against the Chicago White Sox, both in dramatic and come-from-behind fashions. This weekend's opponent, the Toronto Blue Jays, have given the Rangers problems, taking 3 out of 4 in Canada just last week. But the Rangers are tough here at Globe Life Park, having not lost the series since the opener in April. So prepare for a battle against a team that's had their number. Texas and Toronto gets underway next. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T High-Speed Internet. It is another gorgeous evening here on this May night, May 13th to be exact. Globe Life Park is the scene. The Rangers, who just got finished sewing up the Sox, are now going to try and cook the goose of the Toronto Blue Jays. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Grieve, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us on this Friday night of Ranger baseball. Fireworks after the game. Rangers looking to add some fireworks of their own before the ball game is over tonight. It's been interesting, to say the least, the last week, Tom. The ball club has never been able to be counted out of a ball game.
No, it's kind of been that way all season long, Buzz. Come from behind kind of team. The 3-game series against the White Sox is about a compelling and exciting series, as you could see. The Rangers came back in all 3 games. They lost the first one in extra innings, but it was a nice comeback to get to extra innings. They won the next 2 with amazing comebacks. Each of the last 4 wins have been come from behind. All season long it's been that way. 11 times they've done it. That's tied for the second most in Major League Baseball. So I think from our personal standpoint, I'd like to see them get 5 in the first and coast to a victory. But the way they've been doing it's been pretty exciting.
Yeah, just as long as it comes out the way it has, yeah, we're okay with that. However they want to get it done. Well, tonight they're going to turn to Martin Perez, and Martin trying to build off the last good outing that he had, and that was in Detroit. He and Nomar Mazara and the rest of the Rangers getting set to take on the Blue Jays. Game 1 of this 3-game series coming up next. Forecast is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T High-Speed Internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. By Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Well, a gorgeous evening, nice crowd filing into Globe Life Park. Martin Perez getting set to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. And Tom's going to tell you now, or in just a minute I should say, about the lineups that we have. First, we're going to go check in with Emily Jones.
Well, yeah, you're talking about the Toronto lineup, and Martin Perez realizes this is a hard-hitting lineup that does have a tendency to hit the long ball. We've seen it already in the series up in Toronto, but Martin says it's less about what the Blue Jays are doing and more about what he's doing.
But I trust my staff. That's what I say every time. I don't care who's in the home plate. I just wanna, make my pitch and trust my staff. If I throw a strike and I do my job, we're gonna have a chance to win the game.
And that's been kind of the MO that Martin has tried to take to the mound each and every time. He says the thing that he's working on the most is making those in-game adjustments when things aren't necessarily going so well, to calm himself down, to get back out on the mound and make those adjustments, not only within from inning to inning, but also from at-bat to at-bat. So a work in progress, Martin Perez, but can't forget he's still not too far removed from that Tommy John surgery and working his way back into form, guys.
All right, Ed, thanks very much. He's facing a Toronto Blue Jay lineup that Tom's going to tell you what they look like tonight.
Well, they're going to start with Kevin Pillar, their center fielder. Josh Donaldson is batting second. Jose Bautista is in right field. Edwin Encarnacion is the DH and the cleanup hitter. Justin Smoke's been hot. He's playing first base tonight. Troy Tulowitzki has not been hot. He's batting sixth. Michael Saunders is seventh. Darwin Barney gets the start at second base. And catching, batting ninth, is Josh Tolley.
Martin Perez gets a chopper off the bat of Pillar, but the Rangers in an overshift. And Pillar able to bounce that through the right side, the vacant right side of the Ranger defense for a leadoff single.
I saw the umpire there, and when I looked up, I said, well, there's a ground ball to set. Oh, that's the umpire. He doesn't have a glove on tonight. That's a base hit.
So Martin Perez underway in his 8th start of the year. 1-2 his record. 3.51 ERA, has been coming down the last couple of starts, even though he does not have a victory to show for it. Still a very low opponent's batting average at 227, but the walks, as you notice, going to stick out like a sore thumb. Josh Donaldson batting second, takes strike one. Donaldson at 285, 9 and 21 in the home run and RBI categories. 6 for 15 against Martin Perez in past matchups. A ball and a strike. Into the outing that Martin Perez had against the Toronto Blue Jays a week and a half ago up in Toronto. Did not allow a run in 5 innings of work, but took him almost 100 pitches to get through the 5 innings. And it was very inconsistent. And the next time out against the Detroit Tigers, he pitched much better. And I think that's the kind of game that is going to stick in Martin's mind. He was able to go 6 innings, allowed just 2 hits and 2 runs in that ball game. He did walk 5, but those came in a couple of spurts where he just momentarily lost the command of the strike zone. Two and two now. The umpiring crew tonight, Balkin Bob Davidson is behind the plate, calling the balls and strikes here this evening. Lance Barrett at first, and Sonia is at second, and the crew chief Dale Scott over at third. Just outside, 3-2 to Donaldson. So with Pillar at first base and nobody out, Donaldson hitting second. Jose Bautista is in the on-deck circle. This Toronto Blue Jay club, very powerful, but off to a rather slow offensive start. That's out of play. They come in 13th in the league with a .234 team batting average. A little bit better getting on base. They are 6th with a .317 on base percentage. John Gibbons' club tied for 7th with 145 runs scored. And they are 6th with 40 home runs. This is a team that just ran away from their opponents last year. They outscored them by better than 100 runs. Got him swinging the changeup. And Donaldson asking Bob Davidson if he tipped it. Davidson said, no, you didn't. And that is a punch out.
A tip is very difficult to see. You might be able to hear it. But if the umpire behind home plate didn't hear it, it probably didn't happen.
And you heard the sitting ovation that Jose Bautista got. Ranger fans very well aware of all the controversy that Bautista caused in that American League Division Series last year, that 5-game series that created more than a few bad feelings between the two clubs. Bautista struggling of late. Matter of fact, for the month of May, he has been having problems. Double play ground ball. Elvis, Odor, Morgan. 6-4-3. Nobody does it better than your Texas Rangers. One hit, nobody left as Bautista grounds it to a double play. No score after a half inning. Tom's going to tell you now about the Southwest Airlines Rangers batting order tonight.
Second baseman Rougned Odor will start it off for the Rangers. Ian Desmond is in center field batting second. Nomar Mazara for the second time is batting third. Adrian Beltre is at third base batting fourth. Prince Fielder's the DH. Mitch Moreland is at first base. Elvis is batting seventh. Ryan Rua gets another start in left field. And Bobby Wilson is the catcher.
And that lineup facing the 41-year-old knuckleballer. That is R.A. Dickey. Dickey, former #1 draft pick by the Rangers. When he pitches outdoors, you need to find out early if he's going to have command of that strike zone. Indoors, it doesn't really matter quite as much. There's a good bunt. Odor in a hurry and a base hit on the bunt for Rougned Odor.
Well, by the looks of it, Buzz, that's going to become a weapon for Rudy. He's going to bunt enough down the third baseline where they're going to have to honor that and play him tight, which will probably get him a few base hits, slapping ground balls that way too. The second time in a week. Look at that knuckleball, doesn't even spin. That he's beat out a bunt. Had another one that just barely went foul. You see where Donaldson is. He doesn't have a chance to get him playing back there. And leading off an inning, what better way to do it than bunt for a base hit? Have your leadoff man on first base.
And Dickey, a former Gold Glove winning pitcher. So that's a guy that can field his position, but not on that bunt. Now here's Ian Desmond, and he takes the knuckleball for strike one. As I was saying about R.A. Dickey, you need to find out when you're outdoors if the elements are going to bother Dickey in his command of that knuckleball. And once he shows you that, he's got that under control, then you can go ahead and be aggressive with him if you want to. Make him get that knuckleball up in the strike zone. If he shows you he can throw it for strikes. And Odor caught on the quick move by Dickey at first. Looked like Odor might have slipped a little bit, spun the wheels trying to get back in there, and he is picked clean. Well, the bunt single erased on that play at first. And off the end of the bat to left center field. Pilar over there to make the catch, and there are two gone. And the rest of the Blue Jays defense, you saw Kevin Pilar in center. He is flanked by Michael Saunders in left and Jose Bautista in right. Infield with Smoke at first, Darwin Bondy in second, Troy Tulowitzki the shortstop, Josh Donaldson at third, and Josh Thole is the catcher. Well, here's Nomar Mazara. Nomar with his second consecutive start now on that number 3 spot. He was on base 3 of 4 times in the first outing that he had on Wednesday. His reaction was, that's no big deal. You know, hitting third, that's fine. Won't change much. I mean, it's one thing to say that, another thing to go out and do it, and he did it. 314 average. A ball and 2 strikes.
One thing you'll notice about R.A. Dickey, wastes no time. He has been the 4th fastest working pitcher since the beginning of last year, about 18 seconds between pitches.
And he gets a punch out as Mazara got that knuckleball up, the harder version of it, and swung through it. No runs, a hit, and nobody left. After 1, Rangers nothing, Blue Jays nothing on Fox Sports Southwest.
That works.
Top of the second inning, Edwin Encarnacion starts things off by taking ball 1. Martin Perez now back to the plate. Dropped in that breaking ball that time, so back-to-back hooks. And Encarnacion with a 1-1 count. 6 home runs. Encarnacion had a couple in that 4-game series against the Rangers up in Toronto. A ball and 2 strikes now. Encarnacion's batting average, though, not where he's accustomed to having it, down the 245 level.
The other thing Encarnacion has not done very well is hit with men in scoring position. He's had a lot of opportunities and hasn't cashed in.
2-2 pitch. Got him swinging.
That's a good sign. 2 great changeups for 2 strikeouts.
So 1 gone. Justin Smoke coming up. Quick reminder for you folks. Come on out and meet Ranger Jake Diekman and Rangers captain They'll be at the Whataburger on Sycamore School Road in Fort Worth on May 24th. Don't miss this chance to win great prizes. Meet one of the Texas Rangers at Whataburger. Visit TexasRangers.com/appearances for more information. Justin Smoak, another former Ranger. There's Jake out there in the Ranger bullpen, lounging until he will be needed later on in the game. Martin Perez said, "Nah, we don't need you. Just take it easy. Take the night off. I got this." Smoak a .297 average, having a very productive year. Kind of got things going last year, turned things around. The Blue Jays gave him the opportunity.
Yeah, he may be one of those late bloomers, Buzz. Who knows? He got a lot of opportunities in Seattle and basically was about a .220 hitter. Never really ever got going for Seattle. But he's off to a good start this year, hitting .297. He's been better left-handed than he has been right-handed. But the Rangers saw him in action in that series. He had a couple of big home runs against the Rangers. In fact, the only 2 home runs he's got all year.
Yeah, and they came in back-to-back at bats.
Yep.
One tied the ball game, one won the ball game in extra innings. 2-2 the count. Didn't miss by much. Full count. Smoak, the number 5 hitter in John Gibbons' order of things. Troy Tulowitzki, all-star shortstop, waiting. Perez with a payoff pitch. We'll try it again. And let's take a look at the Ranger defense tonight while we have a second. Brought to you by New Braunfels Convention and Visitors Bureau. Rua, Desmond, and Mazzara, left, center, and right. Moreland, Odor, Andrus, and Beltre on the infield. Bobby Wilson behind the plate. And the pitch low and outside. Smoak takes the walk. 1 out pass puts him aboard for Tulowitzki. And before we tell you about Tulowitzki, let's welcome in Jim Knox.
All right, appreciate it, Buzz. What a great crowd tonight. You know, it is Texas Tech night. It's also Arlington night, and the Arlington Choir right here had a nice national anthem. Tony, you've been leading the choir how long?
42 years.
42 years. Way to go. How about this, Buzz? Check this out. Ready? Little Go Rangers. Watch my hand. Okay, we'll keep that going all game long. Thanks, guys. Great to see you. Thank you.
So you're a conductor in training. I think that's great. Got that touch. Meanwhile, a struggling Troy Tulowitzki flies to right for out number 2. Smoak staying at first. Now Michael Saunders coming up. Saunders, when the Rangers last saw the Blue Jays in Toronto, was leading off for them. Pilar jumped in that leadoff spot in the last game against Derek Holland, but the first 3 games, Saunders was leading off. Pilar was hitting about $180 as their leadoff man, and so John Gibbons put Saunders up there, and Saunders responded by hitting .310 as the leadoff man. He now moved back down into the number 7 slot tonight. He'll move up a little bit higher when a right-handed pitcher goes against him, but he is really the hottest Blue Jay hitter right now as far as batting average is concerned. He's been making good solid contact, that .315 average, 5 home runs and 11 driven in. Saunders, of course, member of the Seattle Mariners outfield in a Mariner ball club that really didn't find a spot for him. 1-1 pitch from Perez. This season, home games and road games, a pretty big disparity. Although both averages not bad, .294 at home, but .333 on the road with 4 of his 5 home runs away from Rogers Center. Up the middle, Elvis knocks it down, has no play. Even if he comes up with that cleanly, Saunders runs pretty well. You're probably not going to get him at first. So 2 on with 2 out. Darwin Barney will be next.
You can see how a left-hand pitcher, Martin is a left-hand pitcher, falls off toward the third base side. There's a ground ball right straight over the mound. But as he falls off to the left, can't get his glove around, and all that's left is his bare hand. Not a hard hit ball. Both hits have been dribblers. One that rolled through the right side. That one hit where no one could make a play.
A 2 on now with a walk and an infield single. Darwin Barney, a .333 average. Shoots one foul down the right side. It's 0-1. Barney and Ryan Goins. Pretty much a platoon at second base for the Blue Jays. Smoke at second. Saunders at first. The 0-1 pitch. Now 2-1. Barney came over from the Cubs last September, and he's done a very good job here getting an opportunity in Toronto. Martin Perez, though, trying to go to work on him and get the number 8 hitter. A little bit low and inside. 3 balls and a strike. Barney batting 8th. Josh Thole, the catcher, will be next, and Martin Perez trying to come back and get Barney, so Thole will lead the next inning off. Odor gobbles that ground ball up on to first, and that will do it. No runs, a hit, a walk, and 2 men are left after 1.5. It's the Rangers nothing, the Blue Jays nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. On Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. Adrian Beltre starting things off as R.A. Dickey flutters a knuckleball in for strike 1. Adrian kind of chiding Bob Davidson a little bit. Pops the next pitch up. Barney, second baseman, makes the catch. That's one away.
Batting fifth, the designated hitter, number 84, Prince.
Kind of reminiscent of the way that Dickey pitched against the Rangers in Toronto. He was very good for the first 5+ innings. Rangers kind of got to him as he maybe tired a little bit in Toronto, but Dickey the last several times out has been very, very good.
Through the first 4 hitters, he's throwing a lot of knuckleballs up around the letters that aren't doing that. They're just kind of staying up there. He got a couple swings and misses and a couple of pop-ups where the hitter's been late on it on the high knuckleball.
Fielder, well, that wasn't a high knuckleball. That thing danced all over the place.
Looked like a slider.
Prince at 198 had a couple of doubles in Wednesday afternoon's game. His first multiple extra base hit game of the year. Also drove in a couple of runs. Nice to see the big guy breaking the doubles out and getting the runs home. Dickey with a 1-2 pitch.
No shift.
Tulowitzki. 2 gone.
Batting sixth, the first baseman, number 18, Mitch Moreland.
No base is empty for Mitch Moreland. Moreland steps in batting at .252 with 4 home runs. 16 runs driven in and 2 for 6. His numbers against R.A. Dickey with a home run. Blue Jays did not shift against Prince Fielder. They are shifting against Mitch Moreland. Here's the slower version of the knuckleball. It's 2 balls and no strikes. Mitch just 1 for 7 on the homestand so far, but he's also mixed in 3 walks, so he's been able to get on base with pretty good regularity, despite not having a lot of hits. Also driven in at least 1 run in 3 of his last 5 games. Outside, 3 balls and a strike. Now with 2 outs, Moreland trying to reach base. Elvis Andrus is next. And ball 4 flutters outside. First walk given by R.A. Dickey tonight.
In 2012, R.A. Dickey was with the Mets. He went 20-6, had a tremendous season. Then he got traded to Toronto, and one of the players that went to the Mets was Noah Syndergaard. They call him Thor. You see the game the other night where he hit the 2 home runs?
I did, yeah.
Came up the next time for trying for his 3rd home run, and he pulled 2 95-mile-an-hour fastballs foul down the right field line. That guy's a beast.
But strike to Elvis.
You know, Dickey's been what the Blue Jays were looking for, though. In the last 3 years with Toronto, he's averaged almost 220 innings pitched. So he's started 33, 34 games, gone well over 200 innings pitched. Been kind of what they're looking for. From the Mets standpoint, they got a pretty good return on that trade, too. They got Travis d'Arnaud, their catcher, one of their catchers, and Noah Syndergaard, one of the best young pitchers in the league.
A rifled shot to center field for a base hit. Moreland checks in at second. And Elvis got a knuckleball that time up, but did not move, and he made Dickey pay for it. Second Ranger hit of the night. 2 on with 2 out. And Ryan Rua coming up.
That's right in the center square. Nice swing by Elvis. Hard hit ball. Yeah, Jeff Bannister was saying before the game, Ryan Rua is going to get a lot of playing time in left field. Of course, Shin-Soo Choo will be coming back, and that'll affect that. But for the time being, with Delino DeShields being sent down, Ryan's going to get a lot of playing time.
He pops up the first pitch foul. All right, Tom.
I was just going to say, and he's earning it too. He's played some great games against the White Sox. Had the game-winning home run, showing his versatility by being able to play a number of different positions.
He's gone 5 for 8 in hhis last 2 ball games with 4 RBI. He has breathed some life into that Ranger bottom of the batting order. Pops the next pitch up, and again over to take a look, Thole, but that's back in the 3rd row this time. Nothing at 2 to Rua. Josh Thole, one of those guys that came over from the Mets with R.A. Dickey. They had to have somebody catch Dickey.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody over here wanted to do that.
Well, I guess that's the deal. You get a knuckleball pitcher and don't have a catcher that can catch it, you're pretty much out of luck.
Yeah. 1-2. Yeah, so the Mets threw in Josh Thole, too, is going from New York to Toronto. That's worked out pretty well. Thole does a very good job of catching Dickey. Hammered down the left field line, hooking and foul. Not by much.
Nice short, quick stroke. Almost had it. Since R.A. Dickey became a Blue Jay, no one's given up more home runs than he has. That one came in a little bit. He just wasn't quite able to keep it fair.
Maybe 4 or 5 feet at the foul pole. Still a ball and 2 strikes. That one just stays above the strike zone. 2-2. Dickey kind of a questioning look in at Bob Davidson. Ball hit well to right center field. Pilar moving back into the alley. He calls everybody off, makes the catch, and that'll do it. Well, Ryan gave it a pretty good ride to right center. Rangers come up empty. No runs a hit. 2 men are left. After 2, we are scoreless at Globe Life Park.
We head to the top of the 3rd here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Game 1 between the Blue Jays and the Rangers, and it is Texas Tech night here at the ballpark. Pleased to be joined by Cliff Kingsbury, the head football coach. Cliff, what's it like to be out here representing Texas Tech?
It's awesome. Saw a bunch of Texas Tech people. They have the hats, and it's a beautiful night, so it's a lot of fun.
Patrick Mahomes, your quarterback throughout the first pitch this evening, might have been a little bit high. What was your evaluation there?
Yeah, we've kept him away from baseball this spring, so it's the first time he's touched one in a while. He got his money's worth. He sailed it a little bit, but at least he threw it hard.
What kind of a kid is he? You hear so many great things on and off the field about him. What does he like to coach?
He's phenomenal. Very humble, hardworking, has a 3.5 GPA. Everything you want in a player and a student athlete, and we're really excited about what he's going to do next fall.
Big season for you upcoming, year 4. You got all your guys in, some coaching changes. What can we expect from the Red Raiders in 2017?
We'll have our best team we've had since I've been there.
It's 16, sorry, 2016. I don't want to get ahead of you.
Yeah. Offensively, defensively, a lot of guys back, and with him at quarterback and the progress I saw this spring, I expect us to have a heck of a year.
And no more baseball for Pat Mahomes, huh?
He's done. That's it. We're pulling him. Yeah, we're pulling him. We're going to focus on football, and then maybe down the line we'll see. But for right now, he's going to play quarterback for us.
All right, Cliff, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Best of luck to the Red Raiders in 2016.
Yes,
all right, we'll send it back now to you guys.
Thanks, Deb. It looked like Patrick Mahomes is dropping down a little sidearm through that ball right on by his dad.
He's fun to watch play quarterback.
Yeah.
I've watched a couple of their games last year. He's running all over the field, throwing passes all over the field. Great player.
Well, that's a great offense for a young guy with that kind of talent to run in.
Can show it off, boy.
Yep. A 1-2, the count to Kevin Pillar. That's after Josh Tolley lined to center field. Excuse me.
That's a swing you don't see very well. You might see the swing, but not the contact.
Couldn't tell if he was trying to hold up his swing,
Get out of
the way, or what he was trying to do. And while we have a second here, let's send it over to John Radigan for a Chevy game break. Thank you, John. White Sox with the day off yesterday after the Rangers took 2 out of 3 of them here on in New York. Still playing very good baseball. That's an impressive White Sox team.
Yeah. Those were 3 awesome games against the White Sox. They just kept scoring. Rangers got a little bit of break in the 3rd game when Todd Frazier got hurt. Missed his last couple of at-bats. Might have made a difference, might not have. Boy, there were some great games.
Yep.
Clutch hitting on both sides.
Josh Donaldson now back in a hole again at a ball and 2 strikes. Donaldson went down swinging. Not a good changeup his first time.
Yeah, we were talking about what he was briefly arguing about. It wasn't a foul ball. He was arguing that there was a balk on the play. Didn't think it looked like a foul ball.
All you have to do is make the mere suggestion to Bob Davidson that something was a balk, and well, he's going to put that eagle eye on it. 1-2 pitch. Big difference, left-handed, right-handed. Josh Donaldson against left-handers has just been murdering him. 3 home runs, 6 RBI, 438. And he's going to be 0 for 2 here as Rougned Odor will throw him out. And it's a very quick and tidy 1-2-3 third for Martin Perez. We've gone through 2.5. Rangers nothing, Blue Jays nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Jays continue this series tomorrow night. It's a 7:05 first pitch, and the first 15,000 fans in the ballpark will receive a Rougned Odor bobblehead. That's courtesy of Dr. Pepper and Kroger. Just visit TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS to purchase your tickets. Don't forget, we are continuing the Red Out weekend here at the ballpark. Wear your red as the Rangers take on these Blue Jays. Well, Bobby Wilson, the number 9 man, leading things off here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. And Wilson hooks one foul down the left field side. Bobby just a little bit out in front of it. Bobby doing a great job offensively and defensively, as is Ryan Holiday. Ranger catchers have been excellent, especially of late. Month of May, between the two of them, they've hit in 9 of 10 at a 400 clip, with 3 home runs and 10 RBIs. To right field, Bautista waiting for it to come down. One gone.
That was a fastball. He tried to and got away with it. Snuck in that 83-mile-an-hour fastball. Looks a lot harder than that when you're 100% sure it's going to be a knuckleball, though.
Well, one out, Rougned Odor, who bunted his way aboard the first time. We'll step in now, and again, this second time through, or this time through anyway, no overshift for Odor. First time up, Rougned had the overshift with Tulowitzki playing on the first base side of second. Donaldson, the third baseman, the only one over there, but this time a little more straight up.
He's still got the bunt if he wants to bunt, though.
Yeah.
Got Donaldson well in back of the third base bag.
Last 6 ball games, you see Rugi has been hot. 387, 3 home runs. Off the fists up the middle. And Tulowitzki throws out Odor for the second out. Odor on his way back to the dugout, as so many guys do, checking the big screen, see where the pitch was. Chuck Morgan always has a replay of the previous play. Guys see, well, where was that pitch? Is it where I thought it was, or what exactly happened? Ian Desmond takes that knuckleball on the inside corner for strike 1. Desmond, one of the guys that said he changes everything when he goes to face a guy like R.A. Dickey. And he said he has a reason for it. It's that if he stays with the same approach that he does when he's hitting against a normal pitcher, he said, if I get messed up, then it messes up my whole thing. My normal approach is messed up too. But he said if I change everything, move around the box and look different, have my hands in a different spot and change all that stuff. He said if I take an offer and don't really hit the ball well, then it doesn't mess me up for the next day. I go right back to hitting the way I always do against him, which kind of made sense. You hitters, though, you always have something to trick people with.
And I got to play against Wilbur Wood quite a bit. He was a knuckleball pitcher, and I don't know what the best approach is, but never worked very well for me. I went up and just pretended it was batting practice and hoped that I got a straight one every now and then. And if I figured if I did get a straight one, I might be able to hit it. But going up and just trying to make contact and hit the ball through the middle just didn't seem like the best way to do it. And in Dickey's case, he's given up in the last 3 years more home runs than any pitcher in baseball, so he's going to serve up some straight knuckleballs. Up there and let it rip. I remember a game Jose Canseco had against Charlie Huff. I think Charlie Huff could have faced him 100 times and never gotten him out that day. He was just hitting. He was trying to pull every pitch for a home run, and I'm not sure if he hit a home run, but he hit some line drives in that game.
Up the middle, Barney sets and throws, and that's it. R.A. Dickey, a 1-2-3 inning. So both pitchers with 1-2-3 thirds. We'll go to the 4th inning at Globe Life Park. Rangers and Toronto, 0-0. let's take a look at tonight's greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. Clayton Kershaw, boy, you talk about having a year. The Highland Park product this season, 77 strikeouts and 4 total walks. That's a 19.25 strikeout to walk ratio, modern day record. If he continues at this pace, will be shattered. Bill Hughes has that mark at a little bit over 11 strikeouts per walk. As Bautista makes the Ranger fans happy by grounding out. And on the other end of the spectrum, Red Sox, 11 runs last night against Houston, first team to score 11 runs or more, and 14 hits or more in 4 consecutive games since the 1930 Philadelphia A's. And tonight they're at it again. 5 runs and 6 hits through 4 innings. Red Sox pounding the baseball. They are leading everyone in scoring in the major leagues this year. 1 ball, no strikes to Edwin Encarnacion. That evens the count.
Several good changeups by Martin tonight.
He has some good run on that that changeup. It looks like he turns it over. That's just the way it comes out of his hand. Nomar Mazara. 2 gone. And that's 6 straight. Make that 6 straight now. Sent down by Martin Perez. Speaking of Martin Perez, how about our Kubota power stats? Martin the subject of this. 227 opponents average this season coming into tonight. Last season, 285 opponents average. That's better than a half, excuse me, .058 difference. That's the 5th highest difference in the major leagues. Justin Smoak drew a walk his first time to the plate. Changeup floats to the inside corner. It's 1-1. Talking about the 2 home runs that Justin Smoak hit in that game in Toronto. The only 2 home runs he's hit this year. Well, he drives this into the gap in right center. That is deep up the alley, 1 hop and off the wall. Mazara gets the ball back in. Smoak pulling into second with a 2-out double. Smoak smoked that one.
He's done well against the Rangers. Trying to throw it down and in, it looked like. Instead, it's up and out over the plate. Spot where Martin has not thrown many pitches so far in this ball game. Spot in the strike zone where Justin Smoak was able to center it, put a charge in it to right center field. Fortunately, it stayed in the ballpark. 2 outs. Get Tulowitzki. No damage done.
3rd base hit for the Blue Jays tonight. And Tulowitzki trying to hit it to Grand Prairie. Came up a little short. Tulowitzki a fly ball to right, his first time up. This guy completely unexpectedly is struggling mightily, even against left-handed pitching. He is batting .074 this year against left-handers. And here's a guy who has hit .314 in his career against southpaws. Hitting .171 overall. Talking to some of the folks around the Blue Jays, say, he's in the last couple of weeks, he's really started pressing, it looked like to them. That just, he's almost grinding the bat handle into sawdust. He's so anxious at the plate. Elvis throws out his counterpart, and the 2-out double, no avail for the Blue Jays. No runs a hit, 1 man left, 3.5 in the books. Rangers nothing, Blue Jays nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Now head on out here to Globe Life Park on Sunday, this Sunday. Enjoy a post-game concert from Toby Mac, presented by Buckner International. Concert follows the 2:05 game with these Blue Jays, and you can get your game tickets and a field pass to watch the concert on the field at TexasRangers.com/concerts. And don't forget, once again, make sure you wear your red out here. We're red out the ballpark against Toronto all weekend long.
There is the very handsome Burchett family. Ethan and Madeline. That's Ethan with a Ranger hat, Madeline with a bow on her head. Look how beautiful she is.
Yeah. Fortunately, Matt took a lot after his mother on
yeah.
his looks. Good looking.
I didn't know how to say that, but you put it pretty bluntly. I was trying to think of a little more diplomatic way of saying that, but plus you got the job done.
Tact and I don't know each other too well. Barney on the run, throws out Mazara. That's how the bottom of the fourth gets underway.
Third baseman, Adrian.
Nomar 0 for 2, a strikeout, now a ground out. And Adrian Beltre will step to the plate. Beltre a pop-up to second base as he led off the second inning. Adrian brings in that 5-game hitting streak. Waited on it well, but popped it out of play on the right side. 0-1. Adrian went 4 for 11 in the just completed Chicago series. Drove in 4 runs in the 3 games. And he lines this one to right for a base hit.
Looks like Adrian's philosophy against the knuckleball is go the other way with it. And he did so with some authority. Line shot. Just about as hard as Elvis hit his line drive.
There's that knuckleball up again for you. A steel pitch driver showing you that.
A lot of high knuckleballs.
That slow motion replay, you get an idea that you could see that knuckleball spinning a little bit, and typically when that thing spins a couple of rotations. There's a drive to center field. Pilar going back. He pulls up now as the ball kind of dives and into his glove right at the edge of the warning track. Looked good coming off Prince's bat, but ball not carrying as well tonight as we've seen it.
I think if he hit that in the White Sox series, that ball might have gone about halfway up on the hill. At least that's what it looked like. Not tonight, though. It looked like he hit it pretty well.
So 2 gone with Beltre still at first. Here's Mitch Moreland, who drew a walk back in the second. And he rifles this one just foul in the right field line. Ball girl and the security guard. Security guard had to get out of the way in a hurry. That was too hot to handle.
It was, boy. I'm doing the same thing he's doing.
Yep.
Diving out of the way.
Good idea. 1 ball and 1 strike. I want to say about R.A. Dickey's knuckleball, and you see that spin a little bit. Knuckleball pitchers will tell you they'd like for it to spin about a half a rotation on the way to home plate, either coming back to him a little bit or going forward a little bit. When you see it rotate a little bit, kind of a corkscrew fashion, that's when they don't get quite as much movement on it.
He's throwing a lot of strikes with it. 70% strikes today.
A ball and 2 strikes. Now 2-2. R.A. Dickey out of University of Tennessee. Pitched on the Team USA club in 1996, just after he was drafted, and joined the Rangers minor league system. Broken bat, looper out to left, but Donaldson, the third baseman, able to handle it. And that'll do it. No runs, a hit. Beltre left stranded. We have finished 4 at Globe Life Park. Rangers nothing, Blue Jays nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by Mazda. In every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. A scoreless ball game as the Blue Jays come to bat here in the 5th inning. Each club with 3 base hits. Nothing across so far, and Martin Perez working to Michael Saunders inside for ball 1. Saunders had an infield single, his first time up there. One and one. Looking at Martin Perez tonight, and again, he's toiling with not much run support. He has some of the worst run support in the American League this year so far. 2.63 runs of support per 9 innings. And not just while he's in the game, but per 9 innings it's averaged out this year. It's 3rd lowest in the majors, or 6th lowest in the majors, excuse me. 3rd lowest in the American League. Out of play, 1 and 2. The way he's throwing tonight, it's kind of a continuation of what he was able to do in Detroit. Talking about Martin Perez not walking the people, but he had 1 bad inning in Detroit where he just didn't have command of the strike zone. Other than that, very similar to what we're seeing here tonight. A guy that's throwing a lot of strikes and working quickly, very decisive on what he wants to do and executing very well.
He's had good velocity this year. Most of his starts he's been 92, 94-ish, sometimes a little higher.
Moreland underhanding just in time.
Mitch wasn't sure if he could beat him to the bag, and he wasn't sure he was going to get to the bag. I think right at the end, Mitch said, he's got a better chance of getting there than I do. I'm going to toss it to him and hope for the best. And Martin, again, he falls off toward 3rd base, makes it a little tougher for him to get over there, but his quickness got him over there.
A 1 out, Darwin Barney coming up. Let's check in with Emily Jones.
Well, guys, it is Foundation Friday, and we're here to tell you about the Play Ball weekend across Major League Baseball. Special events planned in DFW to get your kids to play ball, meet Rangers players, Rangers captain, the 6 shooters, and much, much more. Visit TexasRangers.com/playball to get more information. Should be a fun weekend, guys.
Thanks, Em. It's going around all over baseball. Great initiative for Major League Baseball to get the kids involved. Get everyone involved in supporting baseball. Here's the Play Ball logo right behind home plate here at Globe Life Park. 0-1 pitch. Barney hits a 2-hopper that Elvis takes care of. 2 gone.
Well, there's been a lot of balls hit by the Blue Jays tonight that sound like a splat sound. That's the sound you like to hear.
Love that. Yeah. Yeah. About what you would sound like when you hit a ripe cantaloupe.
One ball that was hit hard was Justin Smoak's double to the gap in right center field. He's hit that one exceptionally hard. Other than that, not much. Infield hit and a dribbler to right. Only other hits.
Well, there have been 3 outs tonight in the air, and that's been it. Otherwise, strikeout, ground out. Josh Thole lined deep to center field his first time. Got a hold of one pretty well, but Ian Desmond able to track it down. 2 balls, no strikes. Thole now 0 for his last 13 times to the plate. He is pretty much the personal catcher for R.A. Dickey. Russell Martin, the veteran catcher, who could use the extra time off. Blue Jays had a day off yesterday, as did the Rangers, and Martin saying that back-to-back days off will really do him wonders. He's been dealing with some neck issues. Kind of gotten things squared around a little bit when the Rangers were in town 10 days ago. He said the extra time right now should make him as close to 100% as he's going to be this season. 3 balls and a strike to Josh Thole. Steel pitch tracker showing you the past offerings. There's a strike right at the bottom of the zone. Tolley batting ninth. If he gets aboard to extend this fifth inning, Kevin Pillar, the leadoff man, waits. Now the payoff pitch. Bounced it. And Tolley draws a walk. Just the second walk issued by Martin Perez. Now Martin going to walk around a little bit. We have not seen him do that tonight, and it's a little bit disconcerting, I think, to watch him and his body language change like that when he misses with that last pitch to Tolley. This was the situation that occurred in Detroit where he got the first 2 outs. It was in the 4th inning that time, and then allowed the next 4 hitters to reach. 2 of them scored. So hopefully he can come back and get Pillar here and not have that happen.
Yeah, he's probably upset to walk the 9th place hitter. He's hitting 156, 0 for his last 13. Doug Brocail's thinking the same thing you're thinking, Buzz. Let's nip this in the bud.
Bobby Wilson went out there too. Bobby's got a pretty good handle on the Rangers staff. He's worked with them now last 3 months of last year during spring training, and now since he came back over from the Tigers. Doug doing some fatherly talking to Martin Perez. Right, son, you can't get the keys to the car unless you get this guy out.
Martin told him, don't worry about it. I already own the car. you might have to take the keys away, but it's my car.
Pillar 1 out of 2 tonight. Singled in the first, grounded out.
There you go.
Elvis the short way, and they get the sliding Tolley. So, effective visit by both Wilson and Brocail. Martin Perez out of the inning, 1 left. We're halfway through the ball game. Still no score at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Your next chance to take advantage of $10 Tuesdays. Tickets for the Angels-Rangers game are just $10, and you can add on a $10 meal deal when purchasing online. Plus, all fans on Tuesdays receive $10 parking. Visit TexasRangers.com/specials to secure your $10 Tuesday tickets for May 24th. Well, here's Elvis Andrus leading off the Ranger 5th inning. Elvis showing bunt that had Josh Donaldson charging down from third base. Elvis smoked a single to center field his first time up. Was not quite ready, so asked for time, and Bob Davidson granted it. One ball and 1 strike. I'm sure you all noticed that R.A. Dickey has the ability to throw about 3 or 4 different speeds of knuckleball. Just chops that into the ground. Tulowitzki throws him out, 1 gone. And before Ryan Rua comes up, let's send it back over to John Radigan for a Chevy game break. All right, John, thank you. Verlander hasn't had a whole lot of luck lately with those Tigers. They haven't scored him many runs, and when they have scored a couple of runs, they haven't been able to hang on to it after he's left the ballgame. He had 7 shutout innings against the Rangers on just a couple of hits, and bullpen came in and gave an 8 spot in the 8th, or 7 spot in the 8th. 7, 8, doesn't matter. It was in the 8th inning. Rua, 5 hits in the last 9 at-bats for the Ranger left fielder.
When you think of the Blue Jays, you think of a team that pounds the ball. They really haven't so far this year, but their starting pitching has been great and durable. They lead Major League Baseball in innings pitched. A fastball for a strike, 84 miles an hour. They got the best ERA starting rotation wise in the American League.
Got him swinging. That knuckleball stayed up and just danced right around Ryan Rua's bat. For Dickey, that is just his 2nd strikeout of the night. 2 away. And Bobby Wilson coming up.
Dickey's ERA coming into the game was 5.18. Well, he got bombed by a couple of teams, but not by the Rangers. He only gave up 1 run against the Rangers in 6 1/3. And so far in this game, he obviously hasn't given up anything.
And Bobby Wilson swinging at the first pitch, pops it foul back into the seats. Nobody had any idea where that ball was. Josh Thole looked up and was kind of looking around the powder blue sky. It's about twilight here, and he didn't see it right away. Bobby Wilson had no idea where it was, so he took off toward first base. That's what it looks like from our roaming RF camera out on the left field corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bobby Wilson, a fly ball to right, his first time up. High, tight knuckleball.
Knocked him down with a knuckleball.
Numbers for Bobby with the Rangers, a 368 average. Overall, a 290 mark. Combine the Ranger at bats with the Detroit Tiger at bats for Bobby Wilson. Now 2-2. Another pitch fouled off. You saw Bobby has hit safely in 4 of his 5 starts with the Rangers this year. Rangers fortunate enough to pick up Bobby Wilson from the Tigers. Into and out of Thole's glove. Still 2-2. Remember, Bobby went over to Detroit right at the end of spring training, the 29th of March. Ryan Holiday came to the Rangers, and then the Rangers got Wilson back, so they have both men that had started with the Tigers this year. Donaldson on the run, fires a strike to Smoak, and that'll do it. 3 up and 3 down, and we breeze through 5 innings. Rangers nothing, Blue Jays nothing on Fox Sports Southwest.
Fox Sports Fan Express rolled in for the big city of Dallas, Texas, and on hand, oh boy, 105.3, the fan listeners, the G-Bag Nation on hand here tonight. And Gavin, you actually rode the bus. What was that like?
The bus was incredible. We were listening to the Ben and Skin show on 105.3 The Fan. It was amazing. And Jim, we love you so much. You're always looking for the fan of the game. We'd like to name you the G-Bag Nation man of the game because you're the man.
I will take that nomination. I'll take it. Now, Jeff, you had something you want to say, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to express my love and admiration for my baby daddy, Elvis Andrus. You know, it's a big season. You know, the Rangers rock, you rock, Fox Sports Southwest rocks. But Elvis, as baby daddy, good luck to you today, sir. Finish this game right.
There we go, Jeff. And Mike Bassett, always like to hear the baseball nuggets. You got one tonight for us?
Yeah, Frisco Rough Riders, Matt Bush called up. He reminds me a lot of me, Grieve. 97, hard sinker,
yeah.
Power slider. I can't wait to see him because me and him, I feel like we're like the same guy.
I thought R.A. Dickey reminded me of you, like 67 and all that good.
That was my changeup, and I had that good 78-mile-an-hour fastball when the arm was feeling good.
There we go. All right, good to have you guys out here. Enjoy the rest of the game. Way to go.
I remember that game that Mike pitched for the Rangers. I think it was 7 shutout innings, maybe more than that. Pitched a good game.
Two balls and 2 strikes here as Josh Donaldson leading off the 6th inning.
I don't remember the 97-mile-an-hour fastball, though.
He kept that under wraps. He apparently didn't need it that night. High in the air, Mazzara has found this one. I don't think he saw the first one. Catches this just on the foul line in fair territory. Well, Donaldson, a very important out number 1. I say important. When you're getting a scoreless ball game here, the 3rd time through the order, and you have to face Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion. Every out you can get is big. And certainly leading off the inning to get Donaldson, very important.
Yeah, this is basically the toughest 3 in a row you could face in this lineup. Bautista and Encarnacion coming up next. We talked about Bautista in the pregame show. He's only hitting .208, 120 in May. He's 0 for 2 today. And that's one of those things. You catch him while he's not hot. Take advantage of it, because sooner or later he's going to start hitting.
Looks like he's got that Brett Lowry mouthpiece going, that vampire mouthpiece.
Yeah. Even though Bautista is only hitting in the low 200s, he still leads the American League in walks. His on-base percentage is pretty good.
1-2 pitch. Popped up. Your dugout right on the roof, and it bounds back into the seats. Yeah, over the course of a season, you're going to get Bautista every once in a while when he's not swinging the bat well, and right now is the time to make hay against him, because when he starts swinging it well, you know, Ranger fans remember what can happen with that. Another 1-2. This one popped up, and Bobby Wilson has no idea where it is. It's okay, Bobby. It's back about 6 rows.
Yeah, we're facing about 20 minutes tonight of that gray sky, right between the time it's bright blue and between the time it's blue and turns black. Looks a little bluer right there than I think it does to the fielders when they look up. The ball has been rubbed up by the umpire, so it's not perfectly white. It's grayish, and it blends in with the sky. There's a good reason why he leads the league in walks. He's able to lay off. That's a pretty good changeup right there. A lot of guys, after a bunch of fastballs, are going to swing at that pitch.
The 2-2. Base hit to right, just out of the reach of Rougned Odor, who is shading up the middle. So Bautista has a 1-out single. He is aboard now for Edwin Encarnacion. Not a bad pitch by Perez. Maybe up just a shade more than he wanted it, but it was off the plate outside or right on the corner. Give Bautista credit. He will cover the whole plate. Here's Encarnacion, who has struck out, fly to right field. Is it going to be another double play? No, Elvis boots it. Everybody's safe.
It would have been a double play. Encarnacion, not a great runner. Looked like he took a bad hop right at the end on Elvis, getting ready to catch the ball and get it over to Rugi, and just comes up on him.
Yep.
Wasn't able to get it in the glove.
The first error of the game for Elvis. That is the fourth error. And 3 of them have come in about the last, about the last 10 days or so. So 2 on with 1 out. Justin Smoak now, who has walked and doubled. He might be the one guy in this lineup right now anyway, the way guys are swinging, that you'd rather not face when a base hit can put you behind. The breaking ball hangs outside. And Bobby Wilson. Again, going to talk to Martin Perez briefly. Bobby didn't like the location of that breaking ball that stayed up and away. Then Odor comes in to offer some words to him. Our Ford leaderboard tonight. I'll show you the double plays turned behind the pitchers, and that includes tonight now 14. The Rangers have turned behind Martin Perez. With Martin Perez on the mound, R.A. Dickey has had 9 turned behind him. Ball 2 is low and inside. Perez, one of the best at inducing ground balls. That good sinker and the changeup both work to keep the ball on the ground. Two and one. Smoak this year has not grounded into a double play yet. He's got Bautista at second, Encarnacion at first. Justin doesn't run all that well, so if you get him to hit the ball on the ground, you've got a real good chance. This one popped up, that'll be back into the seats. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The one thing that the Rangers really liked about Justin Smoak, among other things, but the one thing that really stands out that he still does very well, and that's his plate discipline. He has a very good knowledge of the strike zone. Tough to get him to swing in a lot of bad pitches, maybe occasionally, but he won't expand his strike zone very often. Three balls and 2 strikes. Now Smoak batting 5th in the order. Troy Tulowitzki, the shortstop, is in the on-deck circle. Critical part of the game right here for Martin Perez. That's what we were talking about. Just 4 flyouts tonight, 10 groundouts, and 2 strikeouts. Just missed. That'll load him up for Tulowitzki. The 3rd walk of the game. And again, Doug Brocail going to pay a visit to the mound. Well, the last one, the time that Brocail went out there, he immediately had a ground ball from Kevin Pillar that ended an inning. So hopefully the same kind of thing here, get a ground ball at somebody. Well, we have a second here. We're going to remind you we're introducing the Pyromaniacs Perfect Season Ticket Package. And the Friday Night Fireworks 9-game plan. Guaranteed tickets to 9 Friday night games with post-game fireworks. Plus a 10th game absolutely free. This package includes an exclusive postseason pre-sale opportunity and the ability to exchange 1 ticket in your game plan for a Sunday through Thursday non-premier game. To secure your Pyro pack, just call 972-RANGERS or visit TexasRangers.com/fireworks. Tony Barnett loosening in the Ranger bullpen. And Tulowitzki hits one off the end of the bat They'll get one at second. That's all they're going to get. In to score is Bautista. Well, they got the ground ball from Tulowitzki. It just was not hit sharply enough for Moreland to be able to turn it. They get the force at second. In to score Bautista, and the Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead. Tulowitzki with his 17th run driven in this year.
Yeah, harmless little dribbler, but you're right, Buzz. Just was a kind of ball you're not going to turn a double play on. Right off the end of the bat, beat it right into the ground. But the walk pushed the man over to third, and he ended up scoring.
And it wasn't even hit right at. If it had been hit right at Mitch, you might have had a chance for the force at home.
Yeah.
But that didn't even work out. So 2 gone now. Runners at first and third. Michael Saunders, who has singled and grounded out. A little bit low for ball 1. Saunders a .318 average as he faces Martin Perez. One ball, 1 strike. Saunders, you would figure, against Martin Perez would be a matchup favorable to Martin, but you got to be careful with Saunders. He's had 3 home runs this year against left-handed pitching. That's tied for the most by left-handed hitters in the American League. 1 ball, 2 strikes. So if you make mistakes to him, he has the ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Pitch is out away from him. 6th highest average in the American League. Two and two. Martin and the Rangers very well aware of that scouting report, so you've seen the locations of those pitches on or just off the inside corner for the most part. Steel pitch tracker showing you those pitches off the plate. Low and outside, and the count goes full now to Saunders. So with 2 outs, Tulowitzki will be moving on the next pitch from Perez. And Mitch Moreland going to play a step or 2 behind him to increase his range down there at first. If Saunders keeps this inning going, Darwin Barney, the second baseman, will follow. Payoff pitch from Perez. Got him swinging. Tied up with that fastball inside. Perez gets the final out. The Blue Jays get on the board. They get a run on a hit, an error, and lead 2. After 5.5, Toronto 1, Texas 0. It's time now for the Sonic Slam inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $300 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Karen King from Hazlet will win $300. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Karen is going to win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Top of the Ranger order, trailing by a run now to R.A. Dickey. Rougned Odor takes strike one. Odor, Desmond, and Mazara. Rangers no runs on just 3 hits against R.A. Dickey tonight. Odor has one of those hits. It was a leadoff bunt single in the first inning. Smoke to Dickey covering.
We're talking about the Blue Jays not hitting a lot of balls hard against Martin Perez. Same could be said against R.A. Dickey. Dickey's knuckleball has been kind of a baffling thing for the Rangers tonight. They've hit a couple of line drive base hits hard. Prince hit a ball to dead center field, was hit pretty well. Ball not carrying tonight. Knocked it down at the warning track. Dickey came into the game 1-4 with a .518 with the Blue Jays the last 3 years. In the first half, he's gone 19-33. After the All-Star break, he's been 21-8. So he's been much better after the All-Star break than he has before it. But in the 2 games he's pitched against the Rangers, he's looked great.
Ian Desmond, a fly out, a ground out. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dickey, who began messing around with the knuckleball as a member of the Rangers. Worked with it a little bit at AAA at that time was Oklahoma City. And he went back and forth, the Rangers and AAA, and both as a starter and a reliever. Used the knuckleball as a sometimes changeup the last year or two that he was with the ball club. Then he went over to Seattle for a year and went through their system and tried to perfect the knuckleball. And finally made a full-time commitment to it. And the Mets were the ones that reaped the rewards from having him do that. Cy Young winner. It's out of play to the right. And the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Robert Allen Dickey. Full count now. So the Rangers trying to get Ian Desmond aboard with 1 out. Nomar Mazara will follow him in the order. Payoff pitch coming. Tulowitzki for out number 2. Nomar Mazara coming to the plate. As he walks up, we'll tell you our TXU Energy power player to watch is that young man. Last week at Toronto, he went 6 for 16 in that 4-game series. Had a home run. He hit safely in all 4 ball games. And that just continued the streak that he'd had going that got him named the American League Rookie of the Month for April. That was the first few days in May when he virtually tore apart the Blue Jays pitching staff. He skies this one to shallow left field. Saunders there to make the grab, and that'll do it. Dickey now has retired 8 straight as we head to the top of the 7th inning. It remains the Blue Jays 1 and the Rangers nothing. Ford Game Center, we're going to show you some very good pitching. R.A. Dickey with that knuckleball, dipping and diving and jumping and hopping, and the Rangers just not able to square it up very well against Dickey. 3 hits, only 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. A little more conventional approach by Martin Perez, nonetheless effective. He has had the Blue Jays killing a lot of worms out in front of home plate. The only run of the game coming on that fielder's choice grounder by Troy Tulowitzki. It was an unearned run after an error and a walk. That has been the only thing coming. And while we were telling you about the summary, leading off, Darwin Barney slapped one through the hole on the left side for a leadoff single here in the 7th inning. Well, Barney aboard to start off. Josh Thole, the catcher, up there, and Adrian Beltre of the Rangers probably looking for a sacrifice bunt from Thole. Thole currently hitting in just 152. Beltre a step or so in front of the cut of the grass at third. And Perez with a little toss to first that induced Josh Thole to start to square around. Well, one of the reasons a left-hander would do that with the runner at first is to see, well, is that guy going to bunt or not? And sometimes he'll tell you. Sam Dyson loosening in that Ranger pen. I'm sure you've heard the news by now. That pen fortified by right-hander Matt Bush. Back to Perez, who thought about second. Couldn't find the handle and throws to first for the out.
I think he was going to get the force out at second if he was able to handle the ball and get it into his throwing hand. Looked like he was going to wheel and fire it to second, and I think he would have had a decent shot at the lead runner.
You get a better idea from this overhead look. Yeah, it would have been close, but he would have had a shot at it.
I think he was going to try.
In the haste, he forgot to get the grip on the ball. So with Barney at second base now and 1 out here in the 7th inning, Jeff Bannister on the way to the hill, and he's going to talk to Martin Perez briefly before he makes the decision. The call has been made to the Ranger bullpen, so Martin Perez a solid outing tonight. I have to say this is probably one of the best that he's had this year, and he will depart with no chance to win the ball game, but still has given the Rangers an opportunity to come back in this from just a 1-run deficit. Sam Dyson coming on. We will take a timeout, and we're back to Globe Life Park right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. The first 15,000 fans 14 and older at Globe Life Park will get a Rangers beach towel, courtesy of Powerade. Come on out and catch the Saturday game against the Pittsburgh Pirates and pick up the summer giveaway. Call 972 Rangers, or you can visit TexasRangers.com to get your tickets. About that time. beach going weather is upon us. And Sam Dyson is upon us. 18th appearance for the sinker balling right-hander. A 2.12 ERA, and the league hitting just .254 against him. Sam picked up his first save of the year. Last time out, that was against the White Sox here on Wednesday afternoon. And this a very critical situation in this ball game. Darwin Barney at second. Top of the order, Kevin Pillar is at the plate. Pillar tonight has singled and grounded out twice. Nothing and one. Dyson worked a couple of the games in the Toronto series in Toronto. Worked the Monday and Tuesday night games. Worked 2 innings total. Didn't give up anything. 1-1. '27-year-old right-hander out of Tampa, Florida. Sam Dyson came over last year at the trade deadline from the Marlins. Two balls and a strike. Pillar this season in these situations, runners in scoring position, a .261 average. Now the 2-1. 3 balls and a strike. You know, Pillar, the guy I would think you'd want to go after. You've got the meat of the order, and Donaldson and Bautista and Encarnacion following.
And Pillar was a guy coming out of college where not many scouts thought he was going to be an everyday big league player, somewhere around a 30th round draft choice. But he's turned into a very good center fielder, potential leadoff guy for the Blue Jays. Made some great plays in the outfield last year in center field. Did a nice job against the Rangers in the postseason as well.
He was virtually a walking highlight reel last year.
He was.
Defensively. 3-2 the count. We'll try it again. Pillar only has one other at bat, at least in the regular season, against Sam Dyson. 0 for 1. Sam got him on strikes. A nod of the head, and he's ready to go. Up the middle, Odor behind the bag. Throws out Pillar. On to third goes Barney. He's there now with 2 outs, and Donaldson coming up.
Shading up the middle certainly paid off on that ground ball. Hit right over the mound. Rougned was not on the other side of second base, but almost even with second base to make that play. Donaldson tied for the league lead in runs, may lead the league in runs, and he's hitting behind 2 guys, Bautista and Encarnacion, who really haven't been hot all year long. Encarnacion's hitting 170 with men in scoring position. He'd be leading by 10 runs if the guys behind him were hot.
Yeah.
Of course, he's driven himself in 9 times. He's hit 9 home runs.
Yeah, and all 3 of them back to back to back have more than 20 RBI each. So that's pretty potent. You get your 2, 3, and 4 hitters doing that. Even when they're not swinging the bats well, you know that they are run producers.
Yeah, Encarnacion's got 27 with a 174 average with men in scoring position.
Called strike right at the top of the zone. 0-2 now to Donaldson. So Dyson trying to preserve a one-run deficit for the Rangers. Darwin Barney over at third. 0-2 pitch to Donaldson. High and tight, and the ball caroms toward first, and Barney will come down the line and score. A wild pitch, and I mean wild. Barney scores. It's a 2-0 Toronto lead.
Well, he trying to look like throw that ball down and away. It really got away from him.
And Bobby Wilson had no time and no chance to recognize where that carom was going.
Luckily, Donaldson's got some quick reflexes. That ball was right at his face.
Now 2-2.
Boy, lucky he didn't hurt himself the way he's bending his ankles and his knees.
Yep. So a 2-run advantage for the Blue Jays. 2-2. The count to Donaldson. Jam shot out into center, going out Odor, and he's calling everybody off, and Rigden makes the play, and that will do it. But Darwin Barney scores a run. The Blue Jays get a run on one hit, nobody left. 7th inning stretch time with the Blue Jays leading 2-0. Let's join Chuck Morgan as he introduces God Bless America.
Will you please rise? And now in honor of the servicemen and women stationed at home and around the world, we invite everyone in Globe Life Park to join in singing God Bless America.
famous moment for this evening. This date in 2005, Mark Teixeira's 2-run single in the top of the 11th led the Texas Rangers to a 9-6 win over the Twins in Minnesota. Doug Brocail gets his 3rd win of the season in relief, and Doug, the Rangers pitching coach, was 11 years ago. 11 years ago. Doesn't look a day older than what he was 11 years ago. The gray hairs are from all the pitchers that he has under his control that have given up runs when he suggested they would. Adrian Beltre starting off the Rangers 7th. Beltre 1 out of 2, singled sharply to right his last time up. That one dancing a little bit low. And it's 2-1. Adrian now with the batting average at .286 as he faces Dickey. Two and two.
Now the fastball that he snuck in there. His fastball 82, 83 miles an hour. But when you only see 4 or 5 of them a game, it's tough to be ready for it.
That bat slipping out of Adrian's hands as he swung and missed at strike 3. And fortunately, that net taking care of the bat. One gone.
They do know how lucky they are that that net was there.
Prince Fielder fouling one back our way. A little bit below us. Adrian that patented down to the knee swing, and unfortunately no contact. The bat though contacted the netting in front of the folks.
Quick pitched him.
Yeah. No balls, 2 strikes.
No, when A.J. Dickey, when R.A. Dickey signed with the Rangers, he was a #1 draft choice, high #1 draft choice. And when he had his physical, it turned out that he didn't have the ulnar collateral ligament in his elbow. The Rangers had agreed to something like an $850,000 signing bonus, but because of the physical, he ended up getting only $75,000. I always thought he should have gotten twice as much because without that ligament, he's never going to have Tommy John surgery.
That's exactly right.
In any event, he lost about $800,000 in that whole deal, but he's more than made up for it when he came up with a knuckleball. So who would have thought a traditional pitcher who didn't have the ulnar collateral ligament, lost $800,000 of his signing bonus, would still be making a ton of money at age 41 throwing a knuckleball in the big leagues.
Yeah, I think he made most of that signing bonus money back.
Yeah, I do too.
He didn't leave it on the table.
Well, you know what? He never griped about it either. I'll say that for him.
Yep.
Some guys would have been complaining throughout their career, but he put it behind him, went out as if to say, hey, I'm glad to be a player and getting an opportunity, and he certainly made the most out of it.
He's retired the first 2 Rangers here in the 7th inning, and Mitch Moreland standing in has walked and popped out. And R.A. Dickey getting stronger as this game has gone on. He's now retired 10 straight. Last Ranger to reach base was Adrian Beltre in the 4th inning. 1-1 the count. Well, Dickey's longest outing of the year was his last time out. That was a 7-inning affair against the Dodgers. Turned out to be a loss. He worked 7 innings, allowed only 2 earned runs. Tonight he's shutting out the Rangers on just 3 hits. Here's Tom Wilhelmsen eyeing things from his vantage point in the Ranger bullpen. 1-2 to Mitch. We were talking earlier about Dickey, not only the movement on the knuckleball, but combine that with the change in speeds that he's able to accomplish. You know, when he has command like he does tonight, very few out of the strike zone. He is extremely tough. And the Rangers have found that out. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 4 on the night 11 straight now retired by Dickey. Rangers gone in the 7th after 7. Blue Jays 2, Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest.
Buzz and Tom, time for the Progressive Fan of the Game. We got to give it to Jim Hell, a special guest right here. Jim Hell, World War II veteran, 93 years young. This is your second game ever. You're from Oklahoma. You took in your other game quite a few years ago, watching your favorite player, Nolan Ryan, against the White Sox. What do you remember from that game, Jim?
Yes, Robin Ventura. Beating the tar out of Robin Ventura.
Oh, you remember?
Out on the mound.
Well, there. That was what you remember. I remember that one. Well, we are happy to have you back here. I know you fought in the Battle of the Bulge. Here's the Progressive bag. And congratulations, Progressive Fan of the Game. Now, Byron, his son, he's a father of 12. And you got an interesting story right here, right?
Yes, in 1950, when his first son was born, Dad made the comment to my mother he would like to have enough boys for a baseball team. And in 1970, when the youngest son was born, 12 years later in 1982, Dad challenged the local softball team to a softball game, and with Dad playing first base, we ended up beating them 5-4. So really good memory.
There you go. Oh, enjoy the rest of the game. Good to have you out here, and thank you for everything you've done. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jim.
All right, Noxie, great job. Jose Bautista leading off, and Tom Wilhelmsen out of the Ranger bullpen taking over here in the 8th inning. Bautista scored the first Blue Jay run back in the 6th inning. Reached on a single, eventually came around to score on Tulowitzki's ground out. Leading off the 8th, and Wilhelmsen fires that cutting fastball to the inside corner. 2-2.
Well, Tom got off to a little bit of a slow start, but as the season goes on, he seems to be getting right back where he wanted to be. Throwing the ball well. A little bit better bite to his curveball, a little more velocity to his fastball, a little bit better movement. Everything's better right now. It looks like the Tom Wilhelmsen we saw most every time he came into the game against the Rangers for the Mariners.
And both the ERA and the opponent's average inflated from the 2 rough outings he had at the start of the year.
Yeah, not a reflection of how he's throwing now.
Wilhelmsen, a Tucson, Arizona native. 3-2 the count to Bautista. We will try it again. This is a matchup that has been favoring Wilhelmsen. Bautista just 1 for 6 in previous at-bats. And he's going to be 1 for 7, assuming that ball comes down. Odor right there. 1 away before Encarnacion steps in. Let's send it over to John Radigan for a Chevy game break. All right, John, thank you. The Rangers will travel out to Oakland to take on those A's beginning next Monday. But first, they've got a weekend full of baseball here against the Blue Jays. Encarnacion reached on an error his last time up, and that was a big error. It pushed Bautista to second. It was really a tailor-made double play ball. If Elvis could have come up with it, took a kind of a tricky hop, and Elvis wasn't able to get the double play started. That turned into the first Blue Jay run. A ball and 2 strikes to Encarnacion. 0 for 3 officially tonight. Encarnacion a .239 average as he faces Wilhelmsen. High in the air to deep left field. Rua is watching this one go. It is gone to the back of the seats below the Jack Daniels Club. Encarnacion, his 7th home run of the year. It is a 3-0 Toronto lead.
Well, Encarnacion's hit a lot of home runs, and he turned that fastball around 96 miles an hour. He launched it almost off the restaurant out there above the seats. Long home run.
Fortunately, the guys down the truck turned the sound off, and I'm glad for that.
Yeah,
that would have hurt.
That definitely had that crack to it.
Here's Justin Smoak. Wilhelmsen leaves a little calling card for his former teammate. Oh no, they got it back. Oh. I told you lately how much I hate that sound.
Yeah, you have, and there it is again. Quite as bad when it comes off the bat of a Ranger.
No, it's a little more soothing.
Sounds like music then.
Well, Smoak tonight has walked twice and doubled. 1 for 1 officially. .308 average. Pretty good breaking ball, but just a bit low. Blue Jays now 3 runs on 6 hits tonight. Rangers being handled by R.A. Dickey pretty efficiently. No runs, 3 hits.
Toronto continues to get excellent starting pitching. We mentioned that they have more innings than other teams. They have a better ERA than other teams. They've been strong, and that's with R.A. Dickey with a 5-point ERA coming into this game, but you'd never know it by the way he's pitching today.
Yeah.
This has to be the best game he's pitched all year, although he's very good against the Rangers in Toronto. He's one of the quickest workers in baseball. He's working quickly and throwing that knuckleball all over the place, but throwing it for strikes.
Full count to Justin Smoak. He rifles one into the right field corner. He's going to have another extra base hit. Zara takes it off the wall, and Smoak in with his 2nd double of the night. Well, with 1 out, Smoak at second for Troy Tulowitzki. And Doug Brocail making a quick visit out to the mound. Now Justin Smoak, especially from the left side of the plate, a very good low ball hitter, and that is right down in his wheelhouse. 3-2. Wilhelmsen didn't have many options. They needed to throw a strike, and Smoak is swinging the bat very well. Well, conference concluded. Troy Tulowitzki had the RBI in the 6th inning on a fielder's choice. And brought home the first run of the game. He takes a strike here from Tom Wilhelmsen. Tulowitzki hitting at .168. Pop back foul and out of play.
Look at some of the other starters for the Blue Jays. Marcus Stroman is 4-0. Solid ERA in the mid-3s. Jay Happ is 5-0 with a 2.05 ERA. Aaron Sanchez 3-1, a 2.58 ERA. And even though Marco Estrada is only 1-2, his ERA is 2.39. Well, they've got some excellent starting pitching.
That ball is ripped to deep left field. Going back is Desmond. That ball is gone. Troy Tulowitzki with his 7th home run of the year. This one a 2-run bolt. And it is 5-0 Toronto. So home run, double home run. Blue Jays strike quickly. And Tulowitzki, who, yeah, he has not been swinging the bat well, but middle, he's going to have a pretty good hack at that. Turned around the Tom Wilhelmsen fastball, and that's going to do it for Wilhelmsen. So the right-hander works a third of an inning, gives up 3 runs on 3 hits and a couple of home runs. Andrew Faulkner summoned from the bullpen. We will take a timeout with his pitching change. We're back right after this. TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackouts and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Andrew Faulkner in his first major league game since back on the 15th of April when he faced the Baltimore Orioles. He was optioned to AAA by the Rangers, recalled on Wednesday. Anthony Renato was sent down and subsequently traded. Well, Faulkner, the 23-year-old, back in the big leagues. This is his 6th appearance overall. That 8.31 ERA in the league, hitting .278 against him. Michael Saunders, a hit in 3 trips. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Remember last year when Andrew Faulkner got to the big leagues in late August. Did a great job for the Rangers going down the stretch. There's a little looper that's going to fall. And Saunders has his 2nd hit. He is aboard with still just 1 out here in the 8th. And Darwin Barney coming up.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, Buzz, we're talking about the starting pitching and how good it's been for Toronto. I think they expected their bullpen to be a little bit better than it has been. Brett Cecil and Drew Storen are 0-7 with an ERA together somewhere around the 6s or 7s. The bullpen has struggled, but starting pitching has been great.
Yeah, the bullpen started making its turnaround just before the Rangers got into Toronto. They started getting production out of the people that most notably Storin, and they pitched well in that series. John Gibbons' club overall in the month of May, the best ERA, best opponent slugging, and fastball thrown right on by Darwin Barney. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Barney singled and scored last inning. He is 1 for 3 tonight. Michael Saunders, a little calling card from Andrew Faulkner. Two and two. Faulkner signed out of high school. He went to South Aiken High School in South Carolina. He had committed to play baseball at South Carolina, but decided to take the Rangers offer anyway. He was the Rangers' 14th round pick in the 2011 draft. Converted last year while he was at Frisco to the relief role, and by all accounts took to it like a duck to water. It really suited him and his temperament very well, and he provided a lot going down the stretch for the Rangers. 11 games. He appeared in late August and September in the Texas Ball Club. 3-2 the count. In the same spot, that foul ball.
Yeah, the level in front of us is probably gets more foul balls than any other section. Good spot to be sitting in for foul balls, a little bit to the left or right of the hitter.
Yeah, at least more foul balls you can handle. Not those screamers that you get sometimes over on first and third.
People think that we get a lot up here, but I think in the last 10 years we've only had 1 or 2 come up in here. It's a little bit too, it's a good location, but it's a little too far back and a little too high. Most of them that come this way land right in front of us.
Hitters know you're going to make a play on it.
No,
they don't even bother.
I'd get out of the way. I only had, in 21 years, I've had a chance to catch 1 ball, and it came, and I dropped it right in front of Tom Paciorek when he was doing the games for the White Sox. And for about 3 years, he never let me forget that drop.
Well, finally, Barney puts one in play, and Elvis Andrus takes care of the pop-up. That's out number 2, and Josh Thole now will come up. Yeah, Wimpy probably wouldn't let you forget that.
I knew it. As soon as I dropped it, I looked, and there he was, staring and laughing. But they're not going that fast if they do get all the way back here. Slow down a little bit by the time they get here. Didn't help me, though. I needed a glove.
Thole had a sacrifice bunt in the 7th inning. Walked in the 5th. In line to center in the 3rd. A little bit high. 1 ball and 1 strike. A 5-0 Toronto lead. They have put 3 on the board in this 8th inning. Walker getting away with a breaking ball that pretty much stayed in the middle of the plate. The Rangers with a couple of at-bats left to try and cut into this lead. R.A. Dickey has been tough. But the Rangers recently have been a comeback machine. Starting with the last 2 games in Detroit. And the 2 games against the White Sox. They have come back from as much as 5 runs down. Inside all the way to the backstop. That's going to allow Saunders to get into scoring position. Wild pitch. And the count is full now.
Talking about a couple of the Blue Jay pitchers being 5-0 and 4-0. Chris Sale just won today. He's 8-0.
First major leaguer to get to that, wasn't he? Wow. Yeah. 8-0 on May 13th.
They already picked him to start the All-Star game. Not even May 15th yet.
Outside, ball 4. 2 on for the top of the order. If you talk to the people in Chicago, they're already banking on a crosstown World Series. They've already got tickets, I think, printed up for that, as far as they're concerned.
They're both off to great starts. It doesn't look like a fluke when you watch the White Sox. You have to figure they're going to start hitting a little bit better than they have been. In fact, they are right now. Not sure that their pitching can stay as consistent as it has been, but with Sale and Quintana at the top of the rotation, they've got 2 guys that anchor it, that's for sure.
Yep. Yeah, they do.
Todd Frazier's made a huge difference to their team. The energy that he brings, the leadership, not to mention the balls leaving the ballpark and the runs he's driving in. But they've got a good team.
Doug Rocaille out to try and settle things down for Andrew Faulkner. 2 outs, runners at first and second now, and Kevin Pillar, who is 1 for 4, steps to the plate. And he pops up the first pitch. Adrian Beltre settling underneath it, and that will do it. So no further damage, but the Blue Jays put 3 on the board, score 3 times on 4 hits and leave 2. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Toronto 5, Texas nothing.
By a score of 5-0 as we head to the bottom of 8th here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. This the opener of a 3-game set between the Jays and the Rangers. Game 2 slated for tomorrow night, same time, same place, 7 o'clock here on Fox Sports Southwest. There you see a couple of the big hitters coming into this one. Jose Bautista and Rougned Odor, both featured in Game 2 tomorrow night. Thanks to the fine folks at AT&T High-Speed Internet for getting us ready for Game 2 of 3 between Toronto and the Rangers, guys.
All right, Em, thank you. Elvis Andrus leading off the Ranger 8th inning and takes a strike. Elvis 1 out of 2. Singled sharply to center field back in the 2nd. Grounded to short in the 5th. Here's that slower knuckleball that dropped in right at the bottom of the strike zone.
Well, he's throwing great, throwing between 65 and 70% strikes all night long, changing speeds. He's got it going. You can tell. He always works quickly.
Yeah.
So that's not something unique to tonight's game. He's got it working, boy.
That is the 5th strikeout for R.A. Dickey tonight. Elvis over disgusted. Heads back to the dugout. Well, our Jimmy John's delivery of the ballgame, and it is the man on the mound for Toronto, R.A. Dickey. This is his longest outing of the year now, 7 1/3. And he is shutting out the Rangers. What a delivery he has had going for him. Brought to you by Jimmy John's. Ryan Rua taking outside for ball 1. Rua is struck out, fly to center. Mentioned Dickey with 5 strikeouts now. He struck out 3 of the last 4 that he's faced. Matt Bush preparing to make his major league debut in the Ranger bullpen. And you heard earlier Emily talking about the Matt Bush story, and of course a lot has been made about it. Rangers Live, I know Mac and Pudge and John Radigan talking about the Matt Bush story. What a great story it is, and hats off to that young man. He's a 30-year-old, but well, he has the enthusiasm that he had when he was 18. He signed out of high school. So grateful and so excited to finally fulfill what he's worked all these years for. Get to the big leagues.
He's 30 years old, Buzz, but I guess he's got about a 22-year-old arm.
Yeah.
Because he was a position player when he signed. Obviously, he's been out of baseball for a long time.
But you get him on the field, the Rangers will have 3 shortstops on the field. Matt Bush just 5'9", 185. You say, how in the world can this guy throw 100 miles an hour? Well, he does. #1 pick by the Padres out of high school in San Diego. That is 2nd straight. That make that the 3rd straight strikeout. 2 gone, and Bobby Wilson coming up. Yeah, you put him on the mound, you've got a former shortstop, you've got a former shortstop playing center field, and you've got Elvis Andrus playing shortstop.
There you go. He's retired 13 straight.
Yep.
4 out of the last 5 have struck out. So he was very good at the beginning, and he's even better at the end. 107 pitches, I guess, 106.
One ball and 1 strike.
You know, you mentioned that Thole does a nice job catching him. He's catching him basically like it's a traditional pitcher. I haven't seen him miss too many.
No. He's got that oversized glove. It's more like a first baseman's glove. Not the old Paul Richards big pillow that was that he came up with. But it's kind of a cross. It's the not nearly as much padding as a traditional catcher's glove, and a hinge that allows it to be more flexible.
Yeah, you don't need the padding because the pitches are coming in 70 miles an hour. It's got Russell Martin's name on it. On loan.
Kevin Pillar handles that, and that will do it. So R.A. Dickey on quite a roll. Rangers gone in order once again. We're going to the 9th inning, and we are going to see Matt Bush in his Major League debut when we come back to Globe Life Park. What more you can say about it. The young man is trying to get himself under control. Just heard his name announced for the first time as being in a Major League ball game. The numbers at Frisco this year, 12 games, 0-2 the record at 265, but 18 strikeouts in 17 innings and just 4 walks. And he has done everything. Now, the Rangers had a pretty good-sized checklist for him to go down and check off spring training, and on into Frisco. He has checked off every box that the Rangers asked him to. He has handled everything both on the field and off the field with confidence and with aplomb, and the Rangers have rewarded him by allowing him to get to the big leagues, and he earned it.
Well, he's going to face Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion, so he's coming in for his first big league inning, and he'll face some big league hitters, that's for sure.
Had a chance to see Matt in both of the big league games that he pitched this spring. And he was something. Well, he just came in, took the place over like he owned it, and that's what I would expect to see him here. First pitch down and away at just a mere 97. Donaldson 0 for 4 tonight. Matt it's been said, has popped the ball at better than 100 miles an hour several times. And he gets his first Major League strike.
In spring training, he was throwing a fastball and a hard curveball, and evidently over the last couple of weeks he's come up with a slider. That was it right there at 92 miles an hour.
Now 3-1. Everybody an interest in seeing what this guy can do. They saw him in spring training. A little bit different though. You get between the white lines during the regular season at this level. 3-2. And the way he has fit in with the rest of the guys, he's starting in spring training. He said everybody has been so impressed with Matt Bush and his demeanor. He's a very humble guy, very grateful to have the opportunity. Call strike 3, and there you go, Matt. A strikeout of Josh Donaldson to begin your Major League career.
He can get it there 97, 98 miles an hour. And it doesn't look like one of those maximum effort grunt and groan types of 97 either. It's nice and smooth. Right at the bottom of the strike zone.
One very big out for Matt Bush. Here's Bautista.
Here's that slider, 91 miles an hour. That pitch is going to get a few people out.
Yeah. That may be an understatement.
Curveball.
Now, if you're Bautista, you've seen a slider, you've seen a curveball from a guy that can throw 100. What do you think's next? Do you have any idea?
No, I'll throw him a slider again. It looks like it's going to be in the dirt, and they just stay right around the knees.
Bautista has a base hit, a single in 4 trips. The 1-2 pitch coming. There's a slider that kind of backed up. You know, you throw a slider at 92, it doesn't really matter if it backs up occasionally.
And today, that would be a slider that we knew 30 years ago. Today, it's almost like a cutter, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
What they call a cutter. I guess it doesn't matter what you call it, it's what it does. Whether you want to call it a slider or a cutter.
Popped him up. Moreland, Odor runs Mitch off. 2 gone.
Just like last year, Keone Kela came on the scene throwing 95, 97 miles an hour with a big overhand curveball that he had, and was a huge part of the Ranger bullpen.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he's injured right now, but boy, when you think of the power arms that the Rangers have all healthy at the end of the game, that's something that's a lot of fun to think about.
Here's Encarnacion. He wasn't waiting around to see what was going to come next. He was hacking to that first pitch that he saw. Encarnacion hit his 7th home run of the year last time up. That was in the 8th inning. Solo blast that got to the back of the lower seats out in front of the Jack Daniels Club. Curveball, and it's 1-1. Matt Bush converted to pitching at the midway through the 2007 season. And at Lake Elsinore in the California League for the Padres. He just decided at that time he couldn't really hit the curveball very well. He was going to throw it for a living.
Let someone else miss it.
And one thing he never lost in that transaction, the move from the infield dirt to the mound, was that great arm. He came out of Mission High School in San Diego. He was rated as the best high school arm by Baseball America in that draft of 2004. Also the best defensive high school player in the draft. 3-2.
There's a 3-1 fastball right down the middle of the plate to a fastball hitter who's already turned around a 96 mile an hour fastball. And that time he wasn't able to make any contact on it.
3-2 pitch. Got him on the fist. Mitch Moreland into foul territory. And Matt Bush, soak it up, Matt. You deserve every bit of it. Walking off the mound after a 1-2-3 ninth inning in his major league debut. Now the Rangers will see if they can't come back and get him a win. 5-0 Toronto. high-speed internet replay for you. How about the debut of Matt Bush? He strikes out his first man, Josh Donaldson. He gets Jose Bautista to pop out to second. And then a little pop-up off the fist from Edwin Encarnacion. A punch out, 2 pop-ups. Not a bad way to start your major league career. Congratulations, Matt Bush. And he got congratulations from every single one of his teammates when he went back to the dugout. You know, sometimes athletes get stuck with the moniker of, they don't care, they don't share enough emotion. They showed a lot of emotion for their teammate, Matt Bush. Every single one of them knows, if not the entire story, of how much he has gone through, what it took for him to get to the big leagues and have those first 3 outs under his belt. Then we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, and Chad Girodo, the left-hander, slinging him in there from near first base. Girodo, his 6th appearance. Opposition hitting just 176 against him. 4 2/3 innings of work under his belt. And Odor slaps one down to Justin Smoke. 1 gone. Ezekiel Carrera has come in to play left field for the Toronto Blue Jays. Carrera takes over for Michael Saunders. And Chad Girodo has taken over for R.A. Dickey, who went 8 shutout innings. Dickey allowing only 3 hits and 6 strikeouts. Walked 1. And Rangers didn't have a base runner after the 4th inning against him. Here's Ian Desmond, who is 0 for 3. Donaldson across the diamond, and the Rangers now down to their final out. Cricket Wireless bringing you something to smile about. And now about the skipper, Jeff Bannister, reading Matt Bush. And some words of wisdom there from the skipper. I'm sure he not only congratulated Matt, but told him, hey, you might as well soak this in. It only happens one time. And you just had your major league debut. And a terrific one it was. Nomar Mazara, 0 for 3 tonight, hitting at .306. And Girodo misses high to even the count. Blue Jays 5 runs, 9 hits, no errors. Rangers no runs, 3 hits, and 1 error. Drops that breaking ball on the inside corner. Girodo now has Mazara down in a 1-2 hole. Left-hander back to the plate. Smoke cuts it off, feeds Girodo covering, and that will do it. So the Rangers get blanked tonight by the combination of R.A. Dickey and Chad Girodo. Dickey wins just his 2nd ball game of the year, but he was masterful tonight as the Rangers had their 2-game winning streak snapped here at home by the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll be back to Globe Life Park with more right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.